Welcome back to another episode of Artist to Artist presented by Artist Republic. I'm Nick, that's Christian, and don't forget, if you like this episode or any of the prior episodes, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasting news. Now, with that being said, normally we would go into what the news is for today, but I think there's only one news we should be talking about, and that is Clubhouse. And that actually dives in perfectly to the guest we're bringing on today. This is a guy that I actually met on Clubhouse, and that's the key for why we are talking about Clubhouse. So without any further ado, let's bring on our next guest. This is an artist and founder of Casino Gang Record Company, originally from Las Vegas, Nevada. This artist has a huge list of accolades, from scoring films to producing some of the best and up-and-coming talent in the industry. This man knows the music business inside and out and doesn't let up his relentless pursuit of taking over the game. More importantly, he's been absolutely killing it and embracing this new app that is absolutely changing the course of the music industry. So let's bring on our friend Rothstein Beatz. Obviously, I've given, everyone some intro about yourself. So, feel free to give a little intro about yourself. And then, after that intro, let's dive in. Let's talk about Clubhouse. But first off, who are you? Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, appreciate you, Nick, man, and appreciate you having me, man. This was unexpected. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause we've been moving fast, my guy. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it's been a lot. I've been on the phone a whole lot because of Clubhouse. So we definitely gonna hop into that. But just a little background. I'm Rothstein Beatz. I'm a producer from Vegas. Currently I'm in VA, the Hampton Roads area, working some issues out here, working with a couple different people and artists. So this is like my second home. I specialize hip hop and R&B. I'm also a film score composer. I recently did a short film about the pandemic affecting Dallas, Texas area called The Ghost Town of Dallas. So it's on YouTube. It's under Ingenious Blueprint, because I think there's another film that kind of got a similar name, but just check that out when y'all get a minute. And I've been on Clubhouse since November 5th. So when I first got up there, that shit looked like alien. Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was at. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. My homegirl, she's actually a promoter in Atlanta, and she's an A&R. She's, pretty known down in that area or whatever. But anyway, she was like, I've been waiting a month for an invite. And I'm like, an invite? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it was like a secret society or something. Like, she's like, I've been waiting a month for an invite. She was like, yo, I got you an invite. I didn't even download the app. I was sitting here waiting for an invite. I'm thinking I'm like gonna get like a special code or something. And she's like, no, you got to download the app. So then I finally downloaded the app. And then from there, I just kind of found myself in one room and then meeting a bunch of people. Then next thing you know, I'm like in the room with Grammy Award winning producers and songwriters and different people. And I'm looking around like, I'm up and coming. I'm still, I did a couple things, but I ain't got no Grammy noms or nothing. So, it can get a little intimidating if you up and coming and you're around people who've done it, are in the position that you want to be in. So once I kind of found my lane in there, like people really start rocking with me. And then I just start getting a bunch of followers, especially independent artists, because they see me like I'm not a big figure, but I'm on stages with big figures, and and I got relationship with figures that I never would have thought of, and they calling me, talking to me like I got the Grammy, you know what I'm saying? So I just my name of my group is Music Networking, no egos, no capping. Because if you got a Grammy and you capping, I had to kick you out. You know what I'm saying? Or if you got an ego when you come in my room, I got to kick you out. I'm just being respectfully, though. So that's how I kind of got in Clubhouse, and it's going very well. I just left a room. Actually, that's why I'm a little late, so I apologize. I just left the room with Quad City DJs, and he's working on Space Jam 2. So he just told me he wants to kind of mentor me and help me out. So that's why I was a little late, but just because of Clubhouse. So that's just amazing. So yeah,
it's amazing, man.
And for the people listening too, I mean, a little bit about Clubhouse. So I mean, I don't know when it really came out. I started hearing about it like November, around that same time, and I got my invite about a couple weeks ago. Never really got into it, and I started getting into it. But basically, if you haven't heard about Clubhouse, Clubhouse is basically this app that almost kind of hops off the podcasting game, kind of, the craze of podcasting, but really it's an audio app. So you don't have to turn on video. There's no video. It doesn't matter whether you're, in the bathroom, in the car, laying in your bed. You could be with a chick. It don't matter. If you got something to say, you can say it. And that's what's cool. Is like, you don't have to dress up. You don't have to look good.
Right.
But you're just coming off of your words. And really the cool thing about it is you have these open rooms. You can join the rooms. You can get on stage. You can share your mind. You can connect with people. And the power of it that I've really seen from, my week or two being on it is a couple things. So one, my first night on really, playing around, I joined Rothstein's group. Actually, he invited me up on stage and he was like, yo, Nick, tell me about you. And I was like, okay, did my, my 1 minute elevator pitch on like who the hell I am. And everyone was like, holy shit, what's up, Nick? And then I got like 20 followers off the bat. And I was like, wow, this thing is powerful. And then I started getting more in it with you guys. And I just started realizing more and more. And then we started working. I was telling you the other day, I was like, hey, we're launching a system. We need producers. You brought me on stage. Tell me about that. And we had a group that one night I texted you. I like left for a meeting. I came back. You had like 160 people in this Clubhouse room. And you put me on stage. You're like, Nick, tell them about what you're doing. After about pitching for like a minute and a half, I opened up my Instagram and I had 35 DMs from producers, all being like, yo, I want to help you with beats. And it's insanely powerful tool for the music industry. And I think the biggest thing that, I've kind of learned from it is like, you got to navigate it. You got to hop in rooms. You got to get your chance to get up on stage, share your mind. Because if you're just sitting as a listener, you're going to listen, you're going to grow, but you're not going to grow your own people. Like if you got something to say, get up on stage, make it known, grow it, and really get that fan base. The other thing I've liked too is the culture around Clubhouse. And I'll let you dive in too, but like one of the first things I noticed is everybody follows everybody. Like it's not like Instagram, like you care about numbers. Like if someone follows you, you follow them back. And it's this really cool vibe of just like everyone caring about each other and just not really caring about numbers, but caring about networking. And so my question for you going off of that is like, how do you think that the culture of Clubhouse can benefit music artists that are, coming up?
I mean, realistically, you are in the same room with, like I said, like the best of the best. I mean, millions of records sold, songwriters, producers. I was actually just talking to a independent artist yesterday because I get a lot of DMs, as you can imagine. And I'm like, I'm not an A&R, so I really can't do nothing with your music, but they want my advice or opinion to help them out. So I some people I help out, some people, if you catch me at the right time, you catch me at the right time. And so she's like, well, I got this multi-platinum producer who sent me beats. And so she was geeked about that all off of Clubhouse. So I think to be able to bridge the gap between professionals and people who are trying to get to that point, I think that's the main thing my room is for. That's why I call it music networking, is for people who have questions, who never, who don't know about publishing. There's a lot of people who don't know about copyrights. There's a lot of people who just play their music out loud and hopes to get, signed, but don't even know what comes with that. So I think the main thing of my room is to educate and to bridge the gap. Because last night we had an R&B soul competition, and we had some heavy hitters come through last night. The room was packed, and it was some unsigned artists who got a couple things. They had the cash apps in the bio, so we blessed them with some cash apps. So like that's kind of environment that I'm doing every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on my channel, Music Network and No Egos, is to have opportunities to show your talent, because a lot of people are in this pandemic just sitting at home. So we're trying to give them an outlet to kind of take their mind off of what's going on, whether they, are directly affected by COVID or they're just feeling the effects of it. So that's what I think Clubhouse, it came at the right time. I think people been on it since like April, but you know what I'm saying? So now it's finally opening up more and more to the public. So yeah, man, it's a game changer for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I find this conversation interesting because Nick, less than a week ago, invited me to Clubhouse. So like now I'm still really fresh and new to the app, so I haven't really gone in and experienced it fully. I've had a lot of catch-up work to do this week. It's mostly the reason, but just being busy. But again, like I like this app, and I still haven't even gone deep into it. But like as somebody like myself who's really fresh and new to it, I have some reservations, right? So like, what about like misinformation on Clubhouse? Like if someone's talking, like how do you know that they're legitimate and that they are, speaking the words that are actually educational rather than fake?
Man. You don't want to get into that, my guy. It's a lot. It's a big thing on Clubhouse. It's rooms about fake A&Rs. It's room about, it was a big room with the distro kid and ISRC codes. It was a big thing with that. So I seen a guy go in one room, ask a question, started his own room, and then try to give the information back out like he was the originator of it, or he knew about that information. And so somebody called him out, was like, hey man, weren't you just in the other room asking the question that somebody else is asking? And then he shuts the room down. So it's of course with anything, you have to do your research. Number one, I say that about anything you do your research. If I tell you this is how you tie your shoe and you may question that shit, you might want to research that motherfucker. Oh, sorry, can I cuss on here?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, all right,
yeah, no worries.
I'm working on my public speaking right now. So but now like you have to research, because there's producers who got followers on Clubhouse that's charging people $50 collab, and they don't, they're just because they got a following on Clubhouse, and people like, man, this person is somebody, they're getting paid off of that. There's people, teaching classes. There was a guy that came in my room and he did give some good information, but then I found out he was giving wrong information. So guess what? He can't come back to my room because you're hurting the independent artists. You're not helping. And I know as an up and coming producer that it's important to teach people the right way to do things. And I think this is what's leveling the ground between independent artists and the majors, is apps like this, is Artist Republic, is different things like this to change the game. We have to change the game. I said we in a new world, and it was time for us to just make our own way now and not kind of just stick to what's going on. Like, nah, let's change the game. We in a new technology era. Let's do it.
Yeah,
that's one thing you like about Clubhouse for the music industry, is already there's so much misinformation in the music industry. And the unique thing about Clubhouse is it gives people the ability to call people out. Because like if someone says something BS, there's 40 people listening to it that can just turn off their mic and say, hey, you're fucking wrong. And it's not like Twitter or any of the other social networks where you put out a pre-recorded thing saying what you're saying, and if someone conflicts with you, you just delete the message. You can't delete someone saying, you really can't silence people on Clubhouse. And that's great in the music industry, because you do have that ability to be like, look, this person's just wrong. Like, I'll never forget it. I was outside the music industry. There was a Clubhouse room that I joined that was like, is your degree worthless? And I sat there for about 10 minutes, listening to all these people who graduated college, debating everything about a degree. And they invited me up to the stage. And I go, look, I'm the first person here talking about this who's actually dropped out of college. Like, I actually know firsthand what your degree is worth. And let's talk about that for a second. And they were all like, they were very like taken back for a second. And it was funny because as soon as I finished, like, oh yeah, they started like taking back some of their statements. And then they were like, okay, moving on to the next question. And I was like, get the hell out of here. Like, none of you, like, it was like doctors and lawyers asking what their degree is worth. I was like, well, yeah, obviously your degree is worth something. You had to go to law school to be able to pass the bar. You don't have to go and get a marketing degree to know how Google Ads work. I've been through marketing classes. They teach you influencer marketing as American Idol and their Ford commercial in, 2003. It's not influencer marketing, and it's funny because you are able to call those things out on Clubhouse, and you're able to call them as you see them. And so going off of that, you did mention something which brought into the topic of COVID. And so I'm going to pass it off to Christian to dive into our mini segment in the middle of the podcast, which is the future of the industry segment. Christian, kick it off.
Yeah. So, like you said, when we talk about, or when we're talking on this podcast, most of the time it's just this open forum. We're just kind of talking about what the conversation flows naturally into. For this new season of the podcast, we decided that we wanted to open it up into new segments. And every week we're going to be doing a different segment. We might go back to an old segment at some point, but this is going to be the first time that we're doing this one, which is the future of the industry. So in your opinion, where do you see the music industry going now that vaccines are starting to get rolled out, and COVID is hopefully going to start getting tamed in the next, 6 months to a year?
Well, I see the industry really, really. I see the industry really focusing in on how can they either profit off of what happened. You know what I mean? Like whether it's going to be songs geared for that. You already see kind of movies kind of gearing towards what's the experience it is. And I think like once we kind of get past it, might be something that I don't know, because I still hear people talk about it in some songs currently. Like, you know what I mean? I think I can't remember what song it was, but somebody mentioned like COVID-19 in their song. So it's like, of course, when things happen, like when 9/11 happened, it was kind of like you had songs about that. And, now it's like, now you're going to see songs probably about COVID. And then it's going to be like, all right, like, let's get back to the celebrations. So I think it's going to be like a lot of like party music that's going to come out. That's going to be really big. Like, cause it's like, what you going to do when you have people like locked in the house and you finally let them out? I know me, I'm going crazy. I'm jumping on people. I'm going to be starting mouse pits. I'm going to be so happy to kind of be back out and kind of feeling, somewhat of my previous normal, you know what I mean? Like, or feeling safe to be around people again, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's going to be a lot of like, let's get turned up. Let's, because it was already going towards like bassy and party songs and, the club bass, a lot of stuff was just knocking. And so I just think it's going to go to that, but then it's going to go back to more like conscious and deepness. And you see a lot of these movements happening, whether it's with political or whether it's socially. I see a lot of social music, artistry coming back. So people are actually going to have time to sit and make music, which I think has helped me as a producer. Like I was at one point making like 8 beats a day, which I normally would not have the time to do so. So it's really going to tell who's been working, who's not been working during this COVID time. And it's going to be some big superstars that are unheard of right now, like myself. That's really gonna shine, and I gotta throw that in there. That's really gonna shine and show the effects of COVID, which, of course, when anything bad happens, some good always comes out of it. That's how I always look at it. Is with all these people chilling, there's going to be a lot of people that's cooking up, and I'm collabing. And that's another thing Clubhouse is doing. I know in my room alone, people have texted me like, yo, thank you for connecting me with this person. We're going to make some amazing music. So I look forward to telling people in the next couple of months that because of Clubhouse, these songs came about. So that's where I see the music industry going.
I love that. And,
Christian, you
okay, yeah, I was just gonna make a quick little anecdote here. Like, I love how you say, people are gonna, once they get out of the house, they're gonna go crazy. Everyone's gonna want to party, and I compare that to the 1920s. And as most people know, at least in the American culture, the 1920s were very big and poppin' for parties. Obviously, it's a different kind of music, but nonetheless, you think of things like The Great Gatsby and, other influential films and stories from that time. And coincidentally, that was right after another worldwide pandemic. So, people say history repeats itself, and I completely agree with you. I think that something very similar is going to happen in the next couple of years.
And listen, if there's bangers coming out of this shit, I just hope it starts to go back to like, because history repeating itself. If history is going to repeat itself, I hope it goes to like 2005 to like 2007 style bangers. Like I want some Dynamite by Taio Cruz kind of shit coming back. Like that's what I could really use right now.
Man,
like,
it makes you happy.
Club.
Yeah.
Like you can feel like you feel good, like you got your taco meat out on your chest. You just, like in Miami somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like that's the kind of vibe I'm trying to get into.
Yeah, like the music now is kind of like the music that's been popping now is like it's like a party, but it's like a hanging out in the VIP lounge, like your hat down kind
You
of
too
party.
cool, yeah. You too
Yeah,
cool and shit.
but like
Yeah.
but I want to get back to that like even like some like California girl shit where like Snoop Dogg just comes in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like that's some shit that I want to get back to. So I hope history repeats itself after this, and we
I
get
agree.
back to some jams. So
bring the jams back. That's right. Bring the jams back. I
Bring
want
the
to have a
jams
good
back.
time, man. Bring the jams back, please. I mean, like, I understand like everybody has their time, or it may be this kind of season and trends, but we got to bring the jams back. Like that's just gotta always constantly happen. It's just somebody bring some good party music. Like you got to think about it. They don't even have the party hits no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, you used to have the party hits, all the best songs that came out that year on one CD. Like that's what we need. We need just one banging ass CD with all the bangers.
Hell yeah. So going off of bangers, let's dive into the last half of the kind of open forum thing. I want to get off of Clubhouse and dive more into you as a producer in the producer world. So my biggest question is I think there's a massive change in the world, especially on the producer side. But especially, I didn't even know this was true. I didn't know that Old Town Road, that beat was bought off of BeatStars. That blows my mind. So my question, like that was a $30 beat. So my question is going off of that as a producer, how do you think producers, like for any producers listening to this, what's your advice to them to navigating the new world that we're in where beats are so readily available? How do they protect themselves yet also grow and get themselves out there at the same time?
Man, that's a great question. Number one, yes, protection. You know what I mean? Like you always want to protect yourself before you put anything out into the public. You know what I mean? Like I always say you want the slam dunk over the layup, because the layup you can get blocked. And if they got the right lawyers, then you know what I'm saying, you may not have a good chance. But if you got that slam dunk copywritten and you got Congress behind you, as I like to say, I like, go ahead, steal my beat. I got Congress behind me. You know what I mean? It's in the library. So you know what I'm saying? So you just feel more confident whenever you are doing business. You always make sure that you have those conversations up front. I always lead with business first, and then we can be on the cool shit afterwards. We can be on the personal shit after, but you always want to be business minded. Friendship is cool, and seeing a dope artist and you starstruck and you like, oh my God, you want to work with me, and you willing to give up all your beats just to work with this artist? No, you have to make sure that you protect yourself as a producer. So I'm a big advocate on protection and making sure your stuff's registered. Make sure you have an LLC. Make sure you have a business bank account. Just different things like that. I'm gonna also make sure I help other producers learn, because I didn't know that, and I swear I got some of my beats stolen, but you know what I mean? I didn't have any protection. So now that I do, I hope somebody do. But anyway, but another thing, as far as to get some notoriety or try to help build yourself up, I'll say try to find an artist and make them hot. Like, you know what I mean? Like find you someone in your area, build a sound, build a chemistry. Just don't send beats out. Just really like organically meet with the artist and try to create and be a part of the record. And that's one thing that I'm doing now. I no longer send beats out unless I'm sending it to a Cardi B or somebody like that. I will send beats out, but if I'm working with someone on a lower level, then hey, meet virtually, Zoom. Let's talk about the records, you know what I mean? And build like that. And then posting it online, make sure you got your marketing together. Just know it takes money. Some stuff you can do yourself, but if you're trying to go to the next level, you're in a competition with a million other producers. So just know, have your budget together. Make sure you know that, hey, learn as much as you can on the internet. YouTube is a great source. Platforms like this is a great source. So just look, you got to look for the information. It's out there. So just, I wish I had Google and all that when I was, doing my thing, and would have learned about I would have saved a lot of time. But experience is the best teacher to me. Of course, you can learn in books and stuff, but when you actually go through it and then hit your head on the wall, you're like, God damn, I learned, you know what I'm saying? And I had to learn. So yeah, that's the advice I would say.
I love that advice. It's great. And, I think even outside of producers, a lot of artists in general can take that advice and run with it. We talk a lot about, two types of people in the industry, and we've recently talked about this on another podcast is, there's the people that, they, I don't know how to word that. They grow really fast, but the reason they do that is because they stab other people in the back. They steal beats and don't credit people X, Y, and Z. And then, they burn those bridges. And then you have the other people who take their time, do kind of what you said, and do more of a collaboration with people instead of just sending them the beats. And, I think building up your network of people around you, going back to the whole networking thing, is like having that resource behind you is going to make you even better, more successful, even though it might take just a little bit longer. And I think that's just a really important thing to note.
Well, and I think it kind of comes down to like the same way, like kind of comparing it to like anyone listening on like the business side. Like, for example, I had a first job at one of my first jobs was at a technical security company, and I was working data protection. And I came in the first day and I was in this meeting and the chief compliance officer was there. He basically goes, listen, he was talking to the team. He's like, it's not if we get hacked, it's when we get hacked and what's going to happen when we get hacked. And that concept can apply to everything and really can apply to the music industry, because the reality of going off of that is you're going to crash as an artist. It's inevitable. There's going to be a point where you crash and burn. But the level of how badly you crash and burn is going to be dictated on how you got to that point before you crash and burn. If you built a solid base around you, then you'll crash and burn, but your network will help bring you back up. But if you got famous on the backs of other people, when you crash and burn, they're all going to sit there and they're going to be like,
we knew that was going
we ain't going to help this guy. And then you're done. You're done. It's over. Game over. You better go find yourself a job somewhere else. And because no one will ever let you hop on their backs again. And you're done. No one's going to help you bring it back up. Where if you build that slowly, when you have those setbacks, there's going to be people around you. And I mean, hell, I think, going back to the Clubhouse thing, but like, that's a great reason for Clubhouse is building that network. And, we've all built that network now around us where it's like, if we crash and burn, there's going to be people around us.
For sure.
And I think that's a great thing to have, because no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, I could wake up and the entire company could be gone. Like that's life. You have no idea what's going to happen. And, you have to make sure you have that network around you to really build and pivot. And, really going back to that of, when you're doing something and you're coming up, you want to make sure you do it quickly. Like, you don't want to like wait forever and like make sure it's perfect. But at the same time, you want to make sure as an artist that you're getting there the correct way, and getting there in what you believe is the best way possible to benefit everybody. So yeah, Christian, I'm throwing it back to you.
One thing I say, Nick. Well, I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Go for it, man.
I just want to throw that in. I just thought about it. One of my key mottos is nothing good comes from rushing. Like nothing good comes from it. Like, so it's like, yeah, you want to have a little pressure of trying to get there, like of a goal in mind, but you still want to sit with it. You still want to take your time with it. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that it's ready to whatever standard, but don't get too overly obsessive over it. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I got to let this fly. If you know what I mean? Like I think this is good enough right now and we're going to let it fly, because no one really knows what's a hit record. And sometimes you do, but a lot of times people are surprised, when they finally get that hit record.
Yeah. And, oftentimes, we talk about this idea of perfection in someone's music. And, again, just kind of referring back to an older podcast, is you should never strive for perfection in your music, because perfection takes the soul out of that song. If you want your music to have an impact and have soulful value, you want to let it have those little imperfections, those little things that make it tick. I don't know, I guess a question for you would be, when you do your production, at what point do you say, this is perfect for me? It may not be perfect by the ideal definition of perfection, but it still has me as my soul in it.
Well, man, that's a great question. Even for myself, I'm kind of I built my style over the years, but I usually make 3 beats in one. So I'll have three, like I'll have a drum and then I'll have one sound. Then I may mute those sounds and I may add whole different set, maybe even different key, different melody. Then I'll mute it and then I'll try a whole another one. And then I'm like, all right, which ones is the best concept? Or I'll unmute them and put them all together and then just strip it away. So for me, it's really just when my ear says it's done, that's when it's done. Like if I'm like, or if something bothering me, or no, I don't think that fit. Because sometimes I'll just go to the car and my car test will tell me like, no, that kick is not hitting, or that 808 needs a little bit more sub, a little more bottom in it. And then I'll go back in and make my adjustments. So I think you trust your ears, what I say. Like same thing with mixing. A lot of people, of course, there's principles and certain guidelines people use when they're mixing, but it comes down to your ear. You know what I mean? Prince record gonna sound different than James Brown record mixing wise. It's a different mixer, like it's a different person who mixed it, but it's both fire. Both records is hot, but it's a different engineer who mixed it. So I feel like it's just come to your ear. You know what I mean? And we're already kind of trained to hear music at a certain level.
It's like I was trying to search it when we were talking, and I finally found it. There's a video that I think everyone needs to watch, which is Jay-Z, the video of Jay-Z's face the first time he hears Dr. Dre put on the beat for Dirt Off Your Shoulders. And it's crazy because they're in the studio because Dr. Dre is going through all these beats. And you hear that beat kick and you just hear him like flip. And he's like, yo, that's the one. And
yeah. That was Timberland. That was Timberland.
Okay, that was Timberland. Yeah. That magical connection, you're just like, holy shit. And everyone's just like, hell yeah.
And see, that wouldn't happen, Nick. That wouldn't have happened if he wasn't in the studio with Timberland, because Timberland probably wouldn't even send him that beat.
Exactly. And that's the rawness and the soul that like you get from those connections. But that like you're not just gonna get that out of someone sending you a beat. Like you need to,
as a producer, you probably be like, man, he probably won't like this. Like, and those be the records they like. Every platinum producer I talked to, the records that go platinum is the ones they didn't think would. They're like, I didn't even like that beat. And I'm the same way. I'm like, man, I didn't even like that beat. Like, no, Roth, that's fire. That's fire. So it's really, you really can't be in yourself. You have to really just let the people decide, especially as a producer.
And so that's kind of my last question on, because I was reading an article the other day that I think shined a light on a lot of songs that have gone platinum, which is you look at two of the most couple of recent songs. I Love It by Kanye West and Lil Pump was charting forever. And it's funny because this guy was talking about, he was breaking down. He's like, look, when you remove the lyrics, he's like, there's a reason that everyone across the world, from teenagers to college kids, whoever, is just sitting there like, you're such a fuck. Okay. Like, you're just like, okay. But when you listen to the actual melody and the beat behind it, it's the same progression as Rack City. And so from a producer, to everyone out listening, is when you're producing a song, how much goes into it in the effects of like where you actually do want to kind of follow some of the like core things that just work, and how much of it is making new stuff that is your own style?
I mean, it's a formula. Like it's crazy because I was just talking to the guy Jay. He's with Quad City DJs. He said people are not successful on accident. They know what they're doing. He used Timberland as an example. Timberland knows how to make. He knows how to make beats, so he does it over and over and over again. So once you learn the formula and then can understand the sonics and how things work, a lot of things that's familiar goes platinum. A lot of things that are remakes get like it just still fire, like people still enjoy it, and then a younger audience may not even heard the original, so they're thinking it's an original. Just like when it came out, when we first heard it, we were like, oh, that's fire. So it's just a continuation in that familiarness. I try to stay away from that, me personally, because I want to create a new sound, and even though nothing's new under the sun, but I think how you approach it to be different. But I still believe there's still 12, notes, and you only can do so much with, so you just have to figure it out. It's like trying to crack the code. You got to just keep trying different combinations until you find that winning combination. That's how I look at it. I'm waiting for my winning combination like the lottery, and then I can cash out, so as a producer, you just try to make that winning combination with the right drums, with the right snare, with the right synths, with the right 808, and you put all those together and you make a winning formula, and they're your hit record. And you just got to find that right artist, which is the last voice. The last sound on the track is a vocal, and then it all comes together.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the other day we were talking about it, which is Lucid Dreams by Juice WRLD is such an obvious sample of Shaving My Heart by Sting, but it's a whole new generation, same sound, just totally revamped. So yeah, with that, Christian, I'm gonna let you hit him with the last question of the podcast, and then I'll close us out.
Sounds great. So, Roth, I call you Roth, right? Rothstein, Roth?
Yeah, man. Yeah, call me Roth, my guy.
All right. So yeah, Roth. So so far it's been really great talking to you. I wish that we could keep going because this has been such a great conversation.
Sure.
But by the end of the podcast, I always like to ask this one question, and that is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to an upcoming artist who might be like just getting into it, dipping their feet in the water, things like that?
Oh yeah, man. I love this question because I was, am currently still working to get to my dream, and which is to be a #1 Billboard producer. So I'm speaking it out there. So number one is belief in yourself. Like you can't do anything if you don't believe in yourself. So even if your friends or family members tell you your stuff's whack, even your girlfriend tell you to turn it off when you're working on it, like you have to just disregard the noise and always know that you're talented. You're always going to get better. It's a process. Trust your process. That's why I love when the Sixers said that, because it is a process, and anything that takes process, it takes time. So yeah, you may not be good at making drums now, but if you keep working at it, you'll definitely get better. But also make sure you learn from the people who've done it before you. And I think that's a lot of times the artists that are successful, they study the people who came before them. They didn't just say, hey, I got it figured out and I'm a good singer or rapper. They actually study the art. It's an art to it. That's why they have schools for it, because it's an art to it. Sometimes you can get lucky and have some craziness happen, and then you make a hit record, what I'm saying? Like, man, we didn't even mean to make a hit record, and then it comes out. But if you really study it and learn it, then you can understand how to make a hit record, and your ear would not lead you astray, because it's going to feel comfortable. It's not going to make you feel like that chalkboard scratching, scratches on the chalkboard. Because I've heard some records on Clubhouse, like, Lord, what I'm saying? And you need some work, my guy. But I'm just being honest, but they don't know to tune the drums. They don't know certain things, but you have to research and educate yourself if you really want to be in the music industry, first and foremost. And then from there, you just got to keep working at it.
Yeah, that's really beautifully said, for sure. And I think a big point of this whole podcast is, educate yourself. Don't expect people to give you the information. Don't expect to just know it. Learn it, research. I'm gonna pass it off to Nick now to wrap us out.
Yeah. So yeah, Roth, as always, thank you for hopping on. I'll probably see you on Clubhouse tonight.
You already know.
Whenever this podcast airs, find us on Clubhouse. Find the Music Industry Networking. No egos, no capping. Find that shit. Join that shit. We'll always be on there. With that was another great podcast. And don't forget, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. I don't really know what Christian's going to give you this week. So instead, I'm going to defer to next week, and you'll find out next week what you'll get for reviewing us this week. With that being said, we are out.